The big day had finally arrived. After 50 years of work, Earth had built its first faster-than-light ship. The whole planet watched as the starship Persistence prepared for its maiden voyage to the Galactic Confederation headquarters. Captain Alan Wright stood on the bridge, his blue uniform pressed perfectly for the historic occasion. He had trained his whole life for this moment. Beside him, Chief Engineer Samantha Miller ran final checks on the ship's systems. Her hands moved quickly across the control panel, making sure everything was perfect. "Engine status?" Alan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "All systems green, Captain," Samantha replied with a smile. "The 4D fold drive is ready for its first real test." Earth's scientists had discovered how to fold four-dimensional space 15 years ago. It had taken all this time to build a ship that could use the technology safely. The Persistence could now travel to distant stars in days instead of centuries. The countdown began. Alan felt his heart beating fast in his chest. This wasn't just a test flight. They were going to meet aliens for the first time. Real aliens who had invited Earth to join their Galactic Confederation after detecting their breakthrough. 3, 2, 1, engage. Samantha pressed the activation button. For a second, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the stars outside the view screen stretched like rubber bands. There was a flash of blue light, and suddenly they were somewhere else. The fold had worked perfectly. What they saw amazed them. Hundreds of ships from different worlds floated around a massive space station shaped like a wheel. Ships of all sizes and strange designs moved smoothly in organized patterns. Some looked like shining crystals, others like giant sea creatures. The space station itself was bigger than any city on Earth. "My God," whispered Olivia Garcia, Earth's diplomatic officer. "It's beautiful." Dr. Frank Johnson, the mission's science advisor, was already taking readings. "I'm detecting at least 30 different types of propulsion systems. Some of them are operating on principles we haven't even imagined," the radio crackled. A friendly voice speaking perfect English welcomed them. "Earth vessel, this is Confederation Traffic Control. You are cleared to dock at Bay 94. Please follow the guide lights." Blue lights appeared, showing them the way to their dock. Alan carefully guided the ship forward, not wanting to make any mistakes on their first day. The Persistence looked small and plain next to the other ships. The crew prepared to meet the Confederation representatives. They wore their best uniforms and carried gifts from Earth. Alan felt proud as they walked through the airlock and into the station. That pride didn't last long. The greeting party consisted of 3 aliens. One looked almost human, but with purple skin. Another resembled a tall insect standing on 2 legs. The third was a floating ball of light with tiny tentacles. "Welcome," said the purple humanoid with a small smile. "I am Zarkon, Junior Welcoming Officer. We usually send our senior officer, but for ships like yours, I was deemed sufficient." Alan tried not to show his confusion. "Thank you for the welcome. I am Captain Alan Wright of Earth. We are honored to join the Galactic Confederation." The insect-like alien made a chattering sound that the translator converted to laughter. "Join? Oh, that's amusing. You're here as observers only. Your species is hardly ready for membership." Olivia stepped forward. "But the invitation we received was a standard notification sent to all species who manage basic fold technology," Zarkon interrupted. "It's a courtesy, not a membership offer." The crew looked at each other in shock. This wasn't the welcome they had expected. Over the next few days, things only got worse. The Earth delegation was given small quarters far from the main areas. At meetings, they were seated in the back. Other species barely talked to them, and when they did, it was with the tone adults use with small children. At the main conference, the true situation became clear. Earth's achievement of 4D folding, which had seemed so impressive back home, was considered primitive technology by galactic standards. "The humans still use 4D folding," announced a delegate from the Medusan Collective during a technology sharing session. The grand hall filled with laughter and translated chuckles. "My ancestors used 4D folding 10,000 years ago," said an ambassador from the Tri-Fit Alliance. "We've since moved to 6D transit. Much more efficient." Samantha raised her hand to ask a question about the higher dimensional travel, but she was ignored. When she tried again later, she was told the information was not suitable for developing species. Back on their ship that night, the crew held a private meeting. "This is humiliating," Alan said, pacing back and forth. "They're treating us like we're stupid." Frank looked up from his data pad. "They're centuries ahead of us, Alan, maybe thousands of years ahead. That doesn't mean they should mock us," Olivia replied, her face red with anger. "Did you see how they laughed when I mentioned our fusion power plants? Like I'd talked about using steam engines." Samantha had been quiet, thinking. There's something strange about all this. They're very open about 5D and 6D technology, but whenever I ask specific questions, they change the subject. It's like they're hiding something. Or maybe they just think we're too dumb to understand it, Alan said bitterly. On Earth, the situation was being closely watched. Admiral Lori Peterson sat in a secure room beneath the Pentagon, watching the live feed from the Persistence. With her was General Scott Harris and several top scientists. "This is worse than we feared," Lori said as she switched off the video. "They boxed us in. If we try to expand beyond our solar system using our current technology, we'll be seen as primitives everywhere we go." Scott nodded grimly. "We need to accelerate Project Ascension. It's our only chance." Lori picked up a secure phone and dialed. When someone answered, she spoke just 5 words. "Tell Dr. Carter, full speed." Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in the most secret lab on Earth, Dr. Eli Carter received the message. He and quantum physicist Dana Wells had been working on something revolutionary, something that would change everything. "They're laughing at us up there," Eli told his team as they gathered around. "But they won't be laughing much longer." On a test platform sat a small probe, unremarkable except for the strange patterns etched into its surface. Dana typed a command and the probe began to hum. Then it started to flicker as if it existed and didn't exist at the same time. 7-dimensional folding is working, she said, her eyes wide with excitement. "We've done it." The probe wasn't just moving through space, it was moving through reality itself. For 15 years, Earth had been playing a careful game. To the outside galaxy, they appeared to be struggling to improve their primitive 4D fold technology. Their ships were plain and functional. Their requests for technological help were humble. The aliens of the Galactic Confederation continued to look down on humans, seeing them as cosmic newcomers barely worth noticing. It was all an act. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, the real work continued. The facility was built into the rock itself, with 50 levels extending down into the Earth. On level 49, Dr. Eli Carter walked through a security door that scanned his eyes, fingerprints, and DNA all at once. The door opened into a massive chamber where dozens of scientists worked at stations around a central testing area. "Progress report," he said to Dana Wells, who was studying complex equations floating in the air as holograms. "The 7D calculator is stable now," she replied without looking up. "We can predict fold patterns with 99.7% accuracy." Eli nodded, pleased. "And the human testing?" "Commander Hudson is ready for today's session." Greg Hudson had been a fighter pilot before joining Project Ascension. Now he was the first human to experience 7-dimensional space. He sat in a special chair wearing a plain gray jumpsuit, while medical sensors monitored his body. "How are you feeling today, Commander?" Eli asked. Greg smiled. "Ready to fold reality, Doc." The test began. The chair was surrounded by a transparent tube. Inside, the air began to shimmer. Greg closed his eyes as the machine activated. To the observers, it looked like he was there and not there at the same time. His body seemed to exist in multiple places within the tube, creating a strange ghost-like effect. 7 dimensions holding stable, Dana called out, watching the readings. He's experiencing multiplicity. In normal space, objects existed in just one place at one time. In 7D space, they could exist in many places simultaneously. This was why 7D technology was so powerful. A ship using this technology could appear in multiple locations across the galaxy at once. After 5 minutes, the test ended. Greg opened his eyes, looking tired but excited. "I saw the stars," he said. All of them, at once. Natalie Kim, the project director, recorded his words. Only a handful of people knew about these tests. The president knew. Admiral Peterson knew. Even Earth's diplomats like Ambassador Chris Taylor had no idea what was happening beneath the Rocky Mountains. Up in space, those diplomats continued to endure the mockery of alien species who thought they knew humanity's capabilities. At a Confederation trade summit, Chris Taylor sat at the back of the room, listening as major powers discussed new shipping routes. Earth wasn't invited to give input. They were too small, too new, too primitive. During a break, an Arcsuri representative approached Chris. The Arcsuri were tall beings with forearms and skin that changed color with their emotions. This one's skin was showing smug yellow tones. Human, the Arcsuri said, not bothering to use Chris's name. I heard your people are still trying to improve your fold engines. Having trouble with the power requirements? Chris forced a smile. We're making progress slowly but surely. Perhaps in another century, you'll catch up to where we were a millennium ago, the Arcsuri said with a laugh that sounded like bells, ringing. Your Stone Age propulsion is quite charming, really, like watching children play with toys. Chris wanted to respond sharply, but his orders were clear. Stay humble, act grateful for any scraps of attention. Don't show anger. We appreciate any guidance the Confederation is willing to provide, he said instead. The Arcsuri's skin flashed purple with amusement before he walked away to join his colleagues, who all turned to look at Chris and laugh. Back on Earth, in a small meeting room in Washington, D.C., Admiral Peterson met with Intelligence Officer Heather Wilson. The room was swept for listening devices every hour. No electronic equipment was allowed inside. What did you find? Peterson asked. Heather placed a folder on the table. It's worse than we thought. I managed to access some private Confederation communications. Several major species are pushing for Earth to be classified as a protected developing world. What does that mean? It means we would be limited to our own solar system. No expansion, no colonies, no new resource gathering. They'd put up beacons around our entire system that would disable our fold drives if we tried to leave. Peterson's face hardened. They want to put us in a playpen. A cage, Heather corrected. And they're justifying it as being for our own protection. The vote happens in 30 days. Do we have any allies who might vote against it? A few smaller species seem sympathetic, but they don't have much influence. The big powers all support the measure. The Arcsuri Empire is leading the push. Peterson stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. People walking, driving, living their normal lives. None of them knew how close humanity was to being permanently contained. How soon can Project Ascension be ready for field deployment? She asked. Dr. Carter says they need 3 more months to finish the prototype ship. Tell him he has 3 weeks. In the Rocky Mountain facility, the pace of work doubled. Scientists worked in shifts around the clock. The prototype ship, named Revelation, was moved from its underground construction bay to a secret launch facility, built into the side of a mountain. On the outside, it looked like an ordinary Earth vessel. Plain metal hull, standard thrusters. Nothing special. Inside was different. The 7D fold engine took up less space than a regular 4D engine, but the supporting systems were complex. The ship needed massive computing power to calculate safe 7D folds. Captain Steve Martinez was chosen to command the Revelation. His crew was small, just 12 people, all specially trained. Linda Clark would run the fold engine. Paul Bennett handled security. Each crew member was the best in their field. Remember, Dr. Carter told them during their final briefing, as far as the galaxy knows, this ship doesn't exist. If you're seen, you're just another primitive Earth vessel running tests. The 7D drive stays secret until we activate the Ascension. Protocol. The crew understood. Earth's future depended on their mission. While the Revelation prepared for launch, Ambassador Taylor was summoned to a special Confederation Council meeting. When he arrived, representatives from 17 major species were waiting. The Arcsuri leader stood at the center. Human, the Arcsuri said. We have been discussing your species' place in the galactic community. Chris felt a chill. I'm honored by your attention. We have decided that humanity requires guidance and protection during this delicate stage of your development. The Confederation will establish a protective boundary around your solar system. For your own safety, of course. A boundary? Chris asked, though he already knew what they meant. Your ships will not be permitted to travel beyond it. This is for the best. There are dangers in the galaxy that your primitive technology cannot handle. Chris tried to protest. We have the right to explore. You have the right to develop safely. The Arcsuri interrupted. In time, perhaps centuries from now, when you have advanced enough, the restriction may be reconsidered. May I consult with my government before responding? The Arcsuri's skin turned a dismissive blue. This is not a request requiring your approval. It is a decision that has already been made. Implementation begins in 30 days. That is all. As Chris returned to Earth to deliver the news, the revelation completed its final tests. Earth had 15 days to prepare its response to the Confederation's plan to cage humanity forever. The galaxy was still laughing at humans. They wouldn't be laughing much longer. The message from the Confederation arrived on a Tuesday. Earth had 30 days to accept its new status as a protected world or face containment measures. President Kevin Monroe read the ultimatum twice, his face growing darker each time. They're not even pretending it's a negotiation anymore, he said to Admiral Peterson, who stood across from his desk in the Oval Office. They've decided to put us in a box and lock the lid. Yes, Mr. President, Peterson replied. Intelligence suggests they already have ships moving into position around our solar system. The Arcsuri are leading the operation. The president looked out the window at the White House lawn. It was a beautiful spring day. Birds sang in the trees. Tourists took pictures. None of them knew that humanity's future was being decided in this room. Tell me about our options. Peterson placed a folder marked Most Secret on the desk. Project Ascension is ready, sir. The revelation can deploy immediately. Risks? Many. The 7D drive works perfectly in tests, but this would be its first real-world mission. And once we reveal this technology, the Confederation will know we've been hiding our true capabilities. They may see it as an act of deception or even aggression. The president nodded slowly. But if we do nothing, we're prisoners in our own solar system forever. Yes, sir. How long before the Arcsuri fleet reaches Earth? 5 days at their current speed. They're bringing enough ships to enforce the containment even if we resist. The president stood up and walked around his desk. He was a tall man, with gray hair and tired eyes. The weight of this decision showed on his face. Launch the revelation, he said finally. But keep it covert for now. Let's see what they can do before we show our hand. Admiral Peterson nodded. I'll give the order immediately. The next day, the Starship Revelation left Earth. To any observers, it looked like a standard patrol mission. The ship moved slowly out of orbit using conventional engines. Only when it passed Mars did Captain Steve Martinez give the order to prepare the special drive. All stations, status report. He called from the command chair. Linda Clark spoke, from the engineering station. 7D fold drive is green across all metrics, Captain. Paul Bennett checked his security monitors. No unusual signals. No sign we're being tracked. The bridge of the Revelation looked much like any other Earth ship, with one important difference. In the center of the main console was a strange device that seemed to shimmer even when still. This was the 7D fold controller, the heart of Project Ascension. Begin pre-fold sequence, Martinez ordered. Linda's fingers danced across her panel, setting coordinates for the edge of the solar system, calculating 7D mapping. This was the tricky part. Moving through 7 dimensions required incredibly complex math. The ship's computers had to calculate how reality itself would bend when they activated the drive. Fold mapping complete, Linda announced. Ready on your command. Martinez took a deep breath. This was the moment of truth. If the drive worked as designed, they would make history. If it failed, they might be scattered across multiple dimensions, lost forever. Engage 7D fold. The air on the bridge seemed to thicken. For one heartbeat, every crew member felt like they existed in multiple places at once. Then reality snapped back into focus. The stars outside the viewport had changed position. Position. Check, Martinez called out. The navigation officer, Betty Howard, checked her readings. We're exactly where we planned to be, Captain. Edge of the solar system. The fold worked perfectly. Martinez allowed himself a small smile. Good. Now for Phase 2. Begin passive observation of incoming Confederation forces. This was the true power of the 7D drive. The revelation could now exist partially in normal space while also extending parts of itself into higher dimensions. To conventional sensors, the ship would be nearly invisible. But the crew could observe everything around them. What they saw was alarming. A massive fleet of Confederation ships was indeed approaching Earth. The Orcs led the formation, their crystalline vessels glowing with power. Behind them came ships from the Medusan Collective, the Trifid Alliance, and other major powers. I count 72 military vessels, Paul reported. Heavy weapons on all of them. They're not taking any chances, Martinez frowned. Send this data back to Earth, encrypted channel. Admiral Peterson needs to see what we're facing. Meanwhile, Earth continued to play its role as the ignorant, primitive world. Ambassador Taylor requested a meeting with the Confederation Council, supposedly to discuss the terms of Earth's protection. In reality, he was buying time. The Arcturi representative, named Zix, met with Taylor in a luxurious conference room on the Confederation station. Zix's skin glowed with confident orange tones. We are pleased you have accepted the inevitable, Zix said. The containment fleet will reach your world in 3 days. They will establish the boundary beacons and ensure your people understand the new limitations. Taylor forced himself to look humble. We hope the Confederation will allow some exceptions for special cases. Perhaps scientific missions under supervision. That will not be possible, Zix interrupted. The restrictions must be absolute. Your species has shown remarkable adaptability. We cannot risk you finding ways around partial barriers. I see, Taylor said quietly. May I ask what prompted this decision? Earth has never threatened any Confederation world. Zix's skin flickered, briefly to nervous purple before returning to orange. It is standard protocol for developing worlds, nothing specific to humanity. Taylor knew this was a lie. Something about Earth frightened them. But he nodded, as if accepting the explanation. Back, on the Revelation, the crew monitored the approaching fleet. They remained undetected, shifting partially into higher dimensions whenever scanner sweeps passed near them. Captain, Linda called out, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the lead Arcturi ship. Martinez moved to her station. What kind of readings? They appear to be preparing some sort of dimensional technology. Not a weapon exactly, but it looks like they're ready to create a dimensional barrier around our entire solar system. Can the 7D drive get through such a barrier? Linda studied the readings carefully. Based on what I'm seeing, yes. Their barrier would block 3D, 4D, and 5D travel, but they don't seem to understand 7D principles. We could pass through it. So they really do plan to lock us in, Martinez said grimly. How soon can they deploy this barrier? Once they reach optimal position near Earth, maybe 6 hours to fully establish it. Martinez returned to his chair and opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Peterson, this is the Revelation. We have confirmation of the enemy's plans and capabilities. Request permission to proceed to Phase 3. Peterson's voice came back, calm but tense. Confirmed, Captain. The President has authorized the Ascension Protocol. You may engage at your discretion. Understood. Revelation out. Martinez turned to his crew. Battle stations. Prepare for full dimensional shift. Throughout the ship, crew members moved with purpose. This was what they had trained for. The Revelation wasn't just an exploratory vessel. It was humanity's secret weapon. As the Confederation fleet approached Earth, A message from the Arcsuri flagship broadcast on all frequencies. "People of Earth," said Admiral Krell of the Arcsuri, his image appearing on screens around the world. "Your isolation begins today. Do not attempt to interfere. Your primitive weapons cannot harm our ships." The fleet spread out, surrounding Earth in a sphere formation. They began deploying small devices, the beacons that would create the dimensional barrier. From his office, President Monroe watched the alien ships filling Earth's sky. Citizens panicked in the streets below. Some feared an invasion. Others believed it was the end of the world. "It's time," the president said softly. "Show them who we really are." Aboard the Revelation, Captain Martinez gave the final order. "Engage full 7D manifestation. Now." The moment had arrived. On the bridge of the Revelation, Captain Steve Martinez felt the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. His next order would change everything. "Activate full 7D manifestation," he said. Linda Clark's fingers moved quickly across the control panel. 7D drive engaging at full capacity. The ship hummed as power flowed into the dimensional drive. On the outside, nothing seemed to change. The Revelation still looked like an ordinary Earth vessel, but reality around it began to bend in ways the human eye couldn't see. "Status?" Martinez asked. 7D fold is stable," Linda replied. "We are now existing across multiple points in space-time simultaneously." This was the true power of 7th-Dimensional technology. The Revelation wasn't just in one place anymore. It existed in 17 different locations at once, all around the Confederation fleet. To conventional sensors, it would appear as if Earth had suddenly deployed 17 identical ships from nowhere. The Arcsuri Admiral Krell was the first to notice. "What is this?" he demanded as new contacts appeared on his bridge display. Where did these ships come from? His sensor operator, confused, checked the readings again. "Unknown, Admiral. They just appeared. No fold signature detected." "Impossible," Krell snapped. "Nothing can appear without a dimensional fold. Scan again." But the scans showed the same thing. 17 Earth ships had somehow surrounded the Confederation fleet without using any known form of travel. On the Revelation, Martinez watched the confusion with grim satisfaction. "Open a channel to the Arcsuri flagship," he ordered. "Communications." Officer Ryan Cooper nodded. "Channel open, sir." Martinez stood up straight. It was time to show the galaxy who humans really were. "Arcsuri fleet, this is Captain Steve Martinez of the Earth ship Revelation. Your sensors are not malfunctioning. What you see is one ship existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously. This is your only warning. Withdraw from Earth space immediately, or face the consequences." On the Arcsuri bridge, Krell's skin turned, pale yellow with shock. "One ship? Impossible. No species has that technology." His science officer was scanning frantically. "Sir, the readings are... I don't understand them. The ship seems to exist and not exist at the same time. It's like it's partially here and partially somewhere else. Is it a hologram, a trick?" Krell demanded. Before the science officer could answer, one of the Earth ships, one of the manifestations of the Revelation, fired a single conventional missile. It passed straight through the Arcsuri ship's shields, as if they weren't there. The missile didn't explode. It didn't need to. The point had been made. "How did they penetrate our shields?" Krell shouted. The science officer's voice shook. "The missile? It didn't exactly pass through our space. It's like it existed in a different dimension until it was inside our shields." Back on the Revelation, Martinez watched the Arcsuri ship closely. "Status of other fleet vessels?" Paul Bennett checked his security scans. "They're moving into defensive formation. Weapons charging on all ships." "Shift dimensional alignment," Martinez ordered. "Prepare for Phase 2, Linda nodded. "Shifting now." The Revelation changed its dimensional state again. Now, instead of appearing in 17 places at once, it seemed to flicker in and out of existence everywhere around the fleet. No sensor could track it. No weapon could target it. Aboard the Confederation ships, panic was spreading. Weapons fired blindly, hitting nothing but empty space or occasionally other Confederation vessels. The mighty fleet that had come to imprison Earth was falling into chaos. "This is impossible," a Medusan captain yelled. "Nothing can exist in that many places at once." "The humans have been hiding their true capabilities," a Trifid commander realized. "We've been deceived." On Earth, in the Pentagon war room, Admiral Peterson watched the sensor feeds with a mixture of pride and amazement. Beside her, Science Officer Kimberly Adams was monitoring the Revelation's performance. "The 7D drive is working exactly as designed," Adams reported. "They can't track us, they can't hit us, and they can't escape us." Peterson nodded. "Now for the final demonstration." She opened a secure channel to the Revelation. "Captain Martinez, you are authorized to execute the Arcsuri isolation maneuver." "Acknowledged, Admiral," Martinez replied. "Beginning now." The Revelation shifted its dimensional state again. This time it focused all its manifestations on the Arcsuri ships. One by one, the Earth vessel appeared inside the shields of each Arcsuri cruiser, fired targeted shots at non-critical systems, and vanished again before any countermeasures could be employed. In 15 minutes, every Arcsuri ship in the fleet had been disabled, weapons offline, engines damaged, but crews unharmed. "How?" Admiral Krell whispered as his mighty flagship drifted powerless. "How is this possible?" On his view screen, Captain Martinez appeared again. "Your mistake was thinking that humans were struggling to catch up to your technology. The truth is, we took a different path entirely. While you focused on 5D and 6D travel, we discovered principles of 7D manipulation that your scientists overlooked." Martinez let his words sink in before continuing. "Now here is what will happen next. The Confederation fleet will withdraw immediately. Earth is not accepting protected status or any other form of containment. We will join the galactic community as equals, or we won't join at all." Krell's skin had turned a sickly gray. "And if we refuse? Then we'll demonstrate what else the Revelation can do." This was just a small example of 7D technology. We've barely scratched the surface of its capabilities. Throughout the Confederation fleet, captains and commanders watched in stunned silence. The primitives, the newcomers they had mocked and dismissed, had just defeated their most powerful ships without breaking a sweat. The Trifid commander was the first to speak. "We should withdraw. The humans have proven their point." "Agreed," said the Medusan captain. "This technology, it changes everything." Krell knew he was beaten. "Very well. We will withdraw. But this isn't the end, human. The Confederation Council will need to discuss this development." Martinez nodded. "We look forward to those discussions, as equals." As the Confederation ships limped away from Earth, the citizens below began to realize what had happened. A single Earth ship had defeated an entire alien fleet. Humanity wasn't trapped anymore. They were free. In Washington, President Monroe addressed the world. "Today marks a new chapter in human history. We have demonstrated that Earth will not be contained or controlled. We have earned our place among the stars through ingenuity and determination." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "To our friends in the galaxy, we extend a hand of peace and cooperation. To those who would threaten us, remember the Revelation. Remember what one ship accomplished, and know that it is just the beginning of what humanity can do." The Revelation returned to Earth orbit, its mission complete. Captain Martinez and his crew were hailed as heroes, but only a few people knew the full truth about what the ship had done. In her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Dana Wells was already working on the next breakthrough. The 7D drive had proven itself, but she had theories about even higher dimensions. 8 dimensions might be possible, she told Dr. Carter as they reviewed the data from the Revelation's mission. Maybe even 9. Carter smiled. "The galaxy thought they had us figured out. They thought they knew our limits." "They don't know humans very well, do they?" Dana replied. The Confederation fleet retreated beyond the orbit of Pluto. Admiral Krell sent an urgent message to the Council. "The humans have technology beyond our understanding. All previous assessments must be revised immediately." In the darkness of space, the Revelation continued to patrol, a silent guardian of Earth's newfound respect. The ship that existed across dimensions had changed the balance of power in a single day. The galaxy had stopped laughing. 6 months after the Revelation incident, Earth's place in the galaxy had changed completely. The Confederation Council chamber, once a place where humans were barely noticed, now fell silent when Earth's representatives entered. Amy Daniels led the Earth delegation. She was humanity's first representative on the Confederation's governing body, a position that would have been unthinkable before the Revelation. As she took her seat at the main table, she caught the nervous glances from the Orcs delegation. "The Council recognizes Representative Daniels of Earth," announced the chairperson, a tall being from a neutral species. Amy stood. "Thank you, Chairperson. Earth proposes a new technology-sharing initiative between all Confederation members." A murmur ran through the chamber. 6 months ago, Earth had been begging for technology. Now they were offering it. The Arcsuri representative, not Admiral Krell but a diplomat named Jax, spoke up. "What technologies does Earth propose to share?" Amy smiled. "Not 7th-Dimensional technology, if that's what you're asking. That remains classified for now. But we are willing to share advancements in medicine, agriculture, and clean energy production that we've developed independently." "Why would you share anything with us after how you were treated?" asked a representative from the Medusan Collective. "Because that's what humans do," Amy replied simply. "We build bridges, not walls. We believe cooperation benefits everyone, even former adversaries." The proposal passed with a large majority. Many species were eager to improve relations with the humans who had suddenly revealed themselves to be far more advanced than anyone had suspected. After the council session, Amy met with representatives from 12 different worlds who wanted to establish direct trade with Earth. The small meeting room was packed with aliens who had previously ignored humans. Now they listened carefully to every word she said. Back on Earth, the mood was one of quiet pride. Humanity had earned respect. Cities around the world held celebrations, but there was no gloating, no taunting of alien visitors. President Monroe had made it clear humans would show grace in victory. At the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Eli Carter and Dana Wells stood on a platform above the main test chamber. Below them, scientists worked on new applications of the 7D technology. "The Galactic Science Committee wants to give us an award," Eli told Dana with a small laugh. "For our revolutionary breakthrough in dimensional physics." Dana smiled. "Did you tell them that we didn't invent it? That we rediscovered it?" "Not yet. I'm not sure they're ready for that truth." The truth was both simple and shocking. During the research for Project Ascension, Dana had found references to 7-dimensional principles in ancient Earth texts. Symbols carved on stone tablets from 10,000 years ago matched the equations her team had developed. Cave paintings from prehistoric times showed patterns identical to 7D fold mappings. Somehow, humans had known about this technology before. Perhaps they had used it. Then they had forgotten. Their civilization reset by some unknown disaster. "When will you tell them?" Dana asked. Eli looked down at the busy lab. "When they're ready to hear it. When they understand that humanity isn't catching up to the galaxy. We're remembering who we once were." On the other side of the world, Captain Martinez and the crew of the Revelation prepared for their next mission. The ship had been upgraded with new systems based on what they'd learned during the confrontation with the Confederation fleet. "Pre-flight checks complete, Captain," Linda Clark reported from her station. Martinez nodded. "Good. This time we're going beyond the Confederation's mapped territory. There are parts of the galaxy that no one has explored." "Because they couldn't reach them," Linda said. "Exactly. But we can." The Revelation lifted off smoothly, rising into the blue sky. Unlike its first mission, this departure was public. Millions watched as the ship that had saved Earth from containment set off on a journey of exploration. In orbit, Martinez gave the order. "Engage 7D fold. Let's see what's really out there." The ship shimmered and partially vanished, existing now across multiple planes of reality. The Revelation could travel to places other ships couldn't reach. see things other crews couldn't see. Light years away, in the grand palace of the Arcsuri Empire, Admiral Krell stood before his emperor. His once bright skin was now permanently tinged with the gray of disgrace. The humans continue to develop their technology, Krell reported. Our spies report they may be working on even higher dimensional concepts now. The Emperor's skin flickered with colors of worry. Could they truly master 8 dimensions? Or even 9? It's possible. They accomplished in decades what took other species millennia. Then we must ensure they see us as friends, not enemies, the Emperor decided. Send our best scientists to Earth. Offer them anything they want. We must learn their secrets. Similar conversations happened across the galaxy as the balance of power shifted. Species that had once looked down on humans now sought their favor. Trade delegations, diplomatic missions, and cultural exchanges flooded to Earth. Michelle Foster, Earth's newly appointed Minister of Extraterrestrial Affairs, met each visitor with the same calm welcome. She had a saying that was becoming famous across the galaxy. Humans don't hold grudges. We're too busy building the future. In her private office after a long day of meetings, Michelle sat with Admiral Peterson, reviewing reports from Earth ships now traveling freely through Confederation space. The Tri-Fit Alliance has invited us to establish a permanent base in their home system, Michelle said. 2 years ago, they wouldn't even let our ships dock at their stations. Peterson smiled. Amazing what a little 7D technology can do for diplomatic relations. It wasn't just the technology, Michelle pointed out. It was how we used it. We could have destroyed that fleet. Instead, we disabled them without casualties. That sent a message about what kind of species we are. Peterson nodded, then leaned forward. Speaking of technology, have you seen the latest report from Dr. Carter's team? Michelle's eyes widened as she read the classified document Peterson handed her. Is this confirmed? Yes. They found more ancient texts with references to 9-dimensional and even 10-dimensional principles. Whatever civilization existed on Earth before recorded history, they had mastered concepts we're only beginning to understand. So humanity's past might be far more advanced than we imagined. We're not evolving, we're remembering. Michelle looked out her window at the night sky, where stars twinkled with new promise. Does the president know? Yes. He's authorized Project Genesis to explore these discoveries further. The galaxy thought we were newcomers, Michelle said softly. They laughed at our primitive technology. But what if we were here before any of them? What if humans are the original spacefaring species? Peterson shrugged. We may never know, for sure. But one thing is certain, they're not laughing anymore. Across the vast reaches of space, the revelation continued its journey, pushing the boundaries of known territory. The ship that could exist in multiple dimensions at once represented humanity's new place in the cosmos. No longer confined, no longer dismissed, but free to explore the infinite possibilities that awaited them. And somewhere in the ancient past, the first humans who had discovered these secrets seemed to whisper across time. Remember who you are. Remember what you can do. The galaxy had laughed at Earth, but Earth had the last laugh after all.